In 2020, Quibi launched with about $1.75 billion behind it. 6 months later, the mobile video startup announced it was shutting down. The idea came from Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of Hollywood's best-known executives. He had run Disney's film studio and co-founded DreamWorks SKG. Katzenberg had spent decades selling big entertainment events. Quibi was his attempt to move that Hollywood model onto the phone. He partnered with Meg Whitman, the former chief executive of eBay and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Whitman became Quibi's CEO and operating face. The company began as New TV in 2018. Later that year, it was renamed Quibi, short for Quick Bites. The pitch was simple: premium shows in short pieces. Quibi wanted to fill commutes, coffee lines, lunch breaks, and other small moments. Quibi episodes were designed to run under 10 minutes. Instead of full television hours, the service sold quick chapters built for smartphones. The content plan sounded expensive and ambitious. Quibi would not rely on amateur clips or creator feeds, it would buy Hollywood-quality originals. Its programming was grouped into scripted movies in chapters, unscripted shows, documentaries, and daily news segments. Every format had to fit the phone. Investors treated the idea like a major new media platform. Disney, NBC Universal, Sony, Warner Media, Viacom, Alibaba, and other backers put money in. The first major financing round brought in $1 billion in 2018. A second round later lifted total funding to about $1.75 billion. Quibi also sold its first-year advertising inventory before launch. Reports put those advance ad commitments at roughly $150 million. The content slate was packed with recognizable names. Sophie Turner, Chance the Rapper, Keke Palmer, Chrissy Teigen, LeBron James, and Jennifer Lopez were tied to launch programming. Other projects involved major actors and filmmakers. For investors, Quibi looked like Hollywood and Silicon Valley joining forces. Quibi's signature technology was called Turnstile. It let viewers rotate a phone and keep watching in either vertical or horizontal orientation. Turnstile required shows to be made for two screen shapes at once. The feature was meant to prove that Quibi was not just another streaming app. The company presented Turnstile at CES in January 2020. Quibi wanted its phone format to feel like a technological breakthrough. The bigger bet was mobile-only viewing. At launch, Quibi was built for phones, not television screens. That made the product different from Netflix, Hulu, and Disney+. It also meant Quibi was asking people to watch premium drama in the same device space as social feeds. The service was not free after trial. It cost $4.99 a month with ads or $7.99 a month without ads. That price put Quibi against free mobile habits. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and other feeds already trained users to expect endless short video at no subscription cost. Quibi's product asked for both money and a new routine. That is a hard request when the alternative is already in every user's pocket. The app also launched inside a closed viewing environment. Users could not easily screenshot or share moments from shows. That mattered because short video spreads through sharing. Quibi was trying to make culture, but it limited the mechanics that help culture move. The first version also lacked a normal TV app. Viewers who were at home could not simply open Quibi on the living room screen. Then the launch date arrived at the worst possible moment. Quibi went public on April 6, 2020, during the first wave of COVID-19 lockdowns. The service had been designed around people on the move. Suddenly, offices were closed, trains were empty, and commuting had collapsed. People still watched enormous amounts of video during lockdown. But much of that attention moved to couches, televisions, laptops, and familiar apps. Quibi executives argued that short breaks still existed at home. But the original use case was no longer meeting daily life in the way they expected. The early download numbers were visible but not enough. Quibi reported 1.7 million downloads in its first week. Interest weakened quickly after the launch burst. Reports said Quibi fell out of the top 50 free iPhone apps in the United States within about a week. By May, outside analytics firms were questioning momentum. Quibi disputed some third-party numbers, but even Katzenberg said performance was not close to what he wanted. Katzenberg publicly pointed to coronavirus as the central reason for the rough start. He also said the company owned the result. The pandemic explanation was real, but it was not the whole story. A mobile-only subscription service had already been a risky bet before lockdowns. Quibi had to compete for attention against free, addictive feeds. It also had to compete against full-length streaming services people already paid for. The company moved to ad casting after launch. AirPlay and Chromecast support gave viewers a way to send Quibi shows to televisions. That change admitted a problem in the original design. People wanted flexibility, especially when they were stuck at home. Full TV platform support came even later. Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Google TV apps arrived in October 2020, as the shutdown decision was already near. Quibi also worked on screenshot and sharing features after criticism. The app had launched without the social tools that helped clips travel. The shows had famous people, but no broad cultural moment formed. Coverage repeatedly noted that Quibi lacked a clear breakout hit. The industry still recognized some of the work. In July 2020, Quibi received 10 Emmy nominations in short-form categories. The series #FreeRation later won 2 Creative Arts Emmy Awards. The wins proved Quibi could buy professional production, but not a durable audience. Subscriber expectations were the larger problem. Reports said Quibi was on pace for about 2 million first-year subscribers, far below a 7.4 million projection. The 90-day free trial created another test in July. Third-party firms reported a steep drop when early trial users had to start paying. Quibi disputed some of those outside conversion estimates. But the free trial cliff still exposed the central question: would people pay for this habit? By summer, the company was already adjusting. Reports described executive pay cuts and a push to conserve cash. In September 2020, reports said Quibi was exploring strategic options. Those options included a possible sale, raising more money, or another corporate transaction. Finding a buyer was difficult. Reports said Quibi's content rights structure made the library less simple than a traditional streamer-owned catalog. Some potential buyers could get shows, technology, or brand assets. None of that solved the fact that the core consumer product had not caught on. By October, the gap between ambition and adoption was too large. Quibi still had capital, but continuing would burn more investor money. On October 21, 2020, Katzenberg and Whitman announced that Quibi would wind down. The company had launched only 6 months earlier. Their public letter gave 2 possible explanations. Either the idea was not strong enough for a standalone service, or the timing was wrong. They also said the answer was probably a combination. That was a rare admission from founders who had raised one of the biggest startup war chests in media. The shutdown plan focused on preserving value. Quibi said remaining funds would be returned to investors after liabilities were satisfied. That choice made Quibi unusual among failed startups. Instead of spending every remaining dollar chasing a turnaround, it chose to stop. The service told subscribers that access would end soon. Quibi officially stopped streaming on December 1, 2020. An app that had promised a new form of entertainment vanished before the year ended. Its brand became shorthand for a fast, expensive collapse. The content did not disappear forever. In January 2021, Roku acquired rights to stream Quibi's library. Roku said the deal covered more than 75 original shows. The programs moved to the Roku channel, a free, ad-supported streaming service. The irony was hard to miss. Quibi's phone-first shows found a second life on a TV-centered platform. Roku did not acquire Quibi employees in the content deal. The value that survived was the programming, not the standalone app. Quibi's format was not proof that short video was doomed. TikTok and YouTube were growing because they matched user behavior, sharing, and price. The failure was more specific. Quibi tried to sell premium mini television to a mobile audience that already had different habits. Money solved production quality. It did not solve distribution, social spread, timing, or the daily reason to open the app. Stars solved awareness. They did not guarantee that viewers would subscribe, return, and talk about the shows. Turnstile solved a technical problem that many users had not asked to solve. A clever feature could not replace product-market fit. The pandemic hurt Quibi's commuting premise at the exact launch moment. But the product had to be strong enough to survive a change in context. Quibi showed that elite resumes can build the wrong product. Hollywood access and investor confidence are not the same as consumer demand. The lesson is product-market fit before money and stars. If the habit is not real, the launch budget only makes the mistake louder. This was the file on the collapse of Quibi. Subscribe to the Fall Files for the next story behind a famous failure.